I'm Mark Jarvis, CEO of Giga Metals. I've been working on this nickel-cobalt project since 2004, and I feel that the time has come for this project because of the electric vehicle revolution and the incredible demand, not just for nickel, but for ethically sourced nickel. For example, the European Union is introducing laws and regulations that require the manufacturers of electric vehicles and batteries to disclose the sources of their materials. And ethical sources of nickel and cobalt are very scarce in this world. So it's not just that we have nickel, we've got nickel in Canada, which is one of the most stringent environmental jurisdictions in the world. And we've got nickel that we think we can develop a carbon neutral mine, the world's first carbon neutral mine. So we're ideally positioned for the revolution that's just starting to happen now. So first of all, the deposit's extremely large. In the measured and indicated categories, we've got more than 5 billion pounds of nickel. This is a huge open pitable, low-grade deposit, but it makes a very nice, clean, high-grade concentrate. In the measured and indicated categories, we've got more than 5 billion pounds of nickel. And then we've got that much again in the inferred category. It's extremely large. The deposit is less than 25% of the prospective nickel area is drilled off. Another interesting element of this is that we have been supporting research at the University of British Columbia since 2004 into the CO2 sequestration properties of our silicate tailings. When you take these silicate tailings and you expose them to the atmosphere, they start absorbing CO2 and converting to carbonate minerals. And the CO2 is locked away for geological time periods. We aim to be the world's first carbon neutral nickel mine. And this concept of ethical sourcing is becoming more and more important to the buyers of electric vehicles. When you start asking a question about, is my nickel ethically sourced? What you find is it's very difficult to find ethically sourced nickel. If you're sourcing your batteries from Chinese manufacturers, a significant portion of their nickel has very negative environmental impacts. It's very unusual to find a very large source of battery grade nickel in a first world jurisdiction subject to first world environmental standards. And something that's very interesting from a recent Wood Mackenzie estimate of EV penetration rates. They think that by 2030, just to supply the battery supply chain, you're going to need 15 new mines capable of producing 35,000 tons a year, mines our size. And by 2040, you're going to need an additional 25 mines of that scale. The deposits just aren't out there. As that scarcity becomes more apparent, I think deposits like ours are just going to become more and more valuable. Now, one of the things that we're doing, when you're a small company and you've got a huge deposit, it costs a lot of money to develop it. And at some point, you've got to stop with the equity financing, and you've got to invite a partner in to start developing the project at the project level. We are active in searching for a partner. Martin Vidra, who recently joined us as president, had a 31-year career at Sherritt, a Canadian nickel cobalt producer. And he ran their mine, he ran their refinery, and he also spent a large part of his career there selling nickel and cobalt to the end users. So he knows all the end users very well. And he's leading our outreach effort to the strategics, to the car companies, to the battery companies, to the trading companies, to the mining companies, and so forth. He knows all these people. They all know him. Don't expect a deal to happen tomorrow. These things take time. But I can tell you that there is real interest. The strategics are all starting to realize that if they want to be competitive in manufacturing batteries and electric vehicles, they need a long-term source of supply of nickel where they know the cost. And the only way they can do that is to own a piece of a mine in development. None of the current nickel producers are going to give you a long-term contract at a fixed price. The only way you're going to get a fixed price is if you own a piece of the action, and then your fixed price will be the cost of production. The Chinese realize this, and they're moving to dominate the supply chain. The Western companies are just starting to wake up to this now. So interesting times ahead of us. I just think if you are interested in the EV revolution, you have to have nickel as part of your portfolio. Nickel is where the electrons are stored in the battery. If you want more range in your electric vehicle, you need more nickel in your battery chemistry. Thank you very much for listening.